Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining. This is ClearTech Loop. We're on the move and in the know. I'm Joe Peterson. I'm the Vice President of Cloud and Security for Clarify 360 and the Chief Analyst at ClearTech Research. And I'm joined today by Zach Lewis, who is the CISO heading up Lewis Cyber Strategies. Hi, Zach.
Hi, Joe. Thanks for having me. I'm real happy to be here.
I'm so happy you reached out. I'm thrilled to take a look at your profile and see some of the things that you're doing. You are the CISO of University of Health Sciences and Pharmacy, and you just got named to the 40 under 40 by the St. Louis Journal. That's exciting.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Listen, if y'all aren't following Zach, you need to. It's ZACHLEWIS. Did y'all get that? Okay. In case you're just joining ClearTech Loop, the podcast is a hot take approach to cybersecurity, cloud security, and AI security. And I say it's high tech because and hot take because we're only asking 3 questions of Zach. We want to get a feel of what's going on right now in the AI security space. So without further ado, first question, Zach, how can cybersecurity professionals leverage generative AI to break out of that sort of traditional tools and tech mindset and drive more innovative thinking and execution in their security programs?
Yeah, I'll give an example of one of the ways that we've been using generative AI. And one of my first sort of forays into it was to use it for tabletop exercises, which I really love doing because you could feed organizational context into the AI and sort of generate these unique scenarios that then could inject different real-time twists and sort of prompts into them that completely change anything you're kind of used to from your scenario. So very agile, very, very quick and changing, and make your team, whether it's a leadership tabletop or a technical tabletop, really make your team think about the different things that can come in. And then you can feed your responses back into it and kind of get that analysis back, maybe some missed actions or improvement areas. That was one of the best use cases I found for it. And what I'm also seeing right now is a lot of natural language sort of queries being injected, or at least set up sort of in different applications like EDR or DSPM. And I think that's a great place for it, where you can query these generative AI tools like, what's the best, vulnerability I should fix right now that's going to have the long stream, benefits down the line, and maybe really get more juice for the squeeze out of every sort of fix you're doing, every patch you're implementing, everything you're tagging. So some really cool areas there that the generative AI is helping in.
I love the idea of juice for the squeeze. I think that part of, as a young engineer having to go through log files, thankless job.
Yeah.
I love that AI is up-leveling young engineers by presenting options. So it's not just the natural language query for me, it's the options that are being presented, and it's acting as a training tool in some environments. That's kind of cool, right? It is kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. If you get one of those vulnerabilities you don't quite understand or something, you can literally query now, hey, what is this? What does it do? What should I be looking at? Where can I find, really learn a whole lot about what that is, as opposed to just getting it in a report and trying to figure it out from there.
Or the ranking, right?
Yeah.
Back in my day, we didn't get anything ranked. So you had like a billion alerts and you're like, which one's important? I don't know. I don't know. And AI will actually rank like, hey, you've got a problem. You need to this is a red alert, fire kind of thing situation. Or, you got these things going on and they're just sort of, normal fare for the day, right?
Yeah.
So anyhow, it's good stuff. Second question, how can organizations embed security and privacy controls into AI models and that development without sort of slowing down innovation?
Yeah. So, strong AI security, I think with everything kind of starts with doing the basics well. So we really need to look at data classification early, categorization early, kind of identify what's that confidential data, what's regulated, what's public, and get that, properly labeled before we're injecting it into these models. I think that helps a lot with sort of the output later on. And again, more basic stuff. Are these models internet accessible? If they are, maybe critical data shouldn't belong there. I think we should probably segment that. These models that you're making for internal at your companies, Do you have the right access controls on it? Do people have access to the right information? That goes back to your data classification stuff. So some of these foundational things that in security we've known for a long time sort of get forgotten and muddled when you're playing with the latest and newest technologies. And I think we need to bring that back into front of mind, that is what helps make things secure in the long term. Other than that, document your everything. Track your prompts. What data sources are you using? What are your model versions? Are we patching regularly? Are we testing input validation? Just your basic least privilege access. That's another one. Just basic foundational controls still apply here in the age of AI.
And, before we started recording, you and I were talking about the collaboration that's taking place now between the CIO and CISO. Not that they weren't collaborating before, but it's even more important with areas that intersect, like data classification, for those two executives to really have a conversation about how they can help one another.
Yeah, I mean, those two are going to have to work together. When you're talking data classification too, and really tagging and who has access to what and how critical it is, you're going to have to reach out to a lot of your business partners, a lot of your department heads too. There's going to be data owners you have to work with. And that's why the CISO role, the security role, is actually sort of a networking role too, where you have to make these partnerships with people in your organizations. You want them to think of you when they think of projects, because we want security embedded there at the beginning and not wait till later on where we're trying to patch things up and fix things after the fact, but get that in at the get-go.
Look at you, the AI cheerleader, AI security cheerleader. That's great. I love it. Last question. How should the CISO be thinking about AI adoption in terms of its use to secure emerging threats, but then also from an organizational governance perspective? So two sides of the same coin.
I read a lot of reports lately that say, 80, 90% of these AI initiatives are failing. And I think that's interesting, because then you see other companies like Google, Amazon, Microsoft, these big players that are, laying off 10, 14, 25,000 people at a time and integrating AI. And I kind of contrast the two, because I think in these other organizations where we're seeing failure rates, we're trying to take AI and give it to the people. And maybe there's not proper training, maybe there's not proper incentive, but a lot of people don't want to change from their process. They have a process that's worked for years. Why would I change that now? Maybe there's even some fear there that, hey, if I put AI in and it does my job for me, do I still have a role? There may be some fear there. So there's resistance to that change, and it's causing these AI initiatives to fail. Whereas these big tech companies, they're getting rid of people and they're like, hey, we're going to backfill with AI. You don't have these 25,000 people anymore. You're going to figure out how AI is going to work and fill that role, or else you're going to have to pick up all the slack for everyone who's not here. So they're almost like forcing that line. So I think we really need to sort of create that environment that's without fear, show how AI augments rather than, replaces people. I think good training. We've seen success, getting a work group stood up and looking at use cases that our teams are using and sharing those with different people. Here's where I saved an hour. Here's where I saved 5 hours last week. Like, these are the things working for me, and we can make those people more efficient, and they'll be probably happier in their job and be able to get some more done and hopefully find some more satisfaction and not be worried about AI taking their job over.
I love your approach. So many times in security, we get a bad label. We get told we're the department of no, right? But your approach is so collaborative, and that is refreshing. It's kind of what we need to see at the executive level. How can we all work together and make AI work for us? So that's really cool.
Yeah, there's just a lot of unknowns around AI right now, and the best use. Even the big providers of AI, OpenAI and Meta and Google, they don't even know the best use cases every now. We're all sort of figuring that out. So I think just really documenting and defining what that is, what success looks like, and encouraging our teams to try it out and figure it out makes the most sense right now.
It's great advice. Thank you. And thank you for joining me today. This was lovely. Y'all, follow Zach if you haven't already. He's got a book coming out in January. Do you want to take a minute and talk about that book before we leave, Zach?
Sure. Yeah, real quick. The book is called Locked Up, and it's a real world ransomware story that I kind of worked through, and we survived at the university, just giving all the pros, the cons, the decisions, sort of everything that goes on in it to help guide future practitioners and building a good security program and surviving ransomware attacks as they continue to increase throughout year after year, basically. So it'll be out January 6th.
Lovely. So we'll have to have you come back and talk about some of the real world lessons that you learned from the book, because that's going to be super important to a lot of people listening.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to do that, Joe. Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, thank you again. And thank you everyone for joining, and back at you next week.